I'm not gonna lie, I've read enough doujins to know where this scene was going, okay? Like, when I saw that scene pop up, I'm like, okay, this scene alone is probably gonna have some doujins made on it. Like, I know. I just know. I know how the internet is. Like, that scene alone is gonna spawn probably countless doujins, just because of the way it was done. But, can we talk about how Chisei didn't seem to really care that much that she was sitting in tentacles for, like, hours? Like, okay, yes, she cared. Like, she didn't want to die. She didn't want to get eaten. Okay, yes. I mean, she said that. But she was kind of calm. Like, she was legit just calm. Sitting in these tentacles and all that wrapping around her. I'm like, Chisei, what the hell? Like, what the hell? Like, you are surrounded by tentacles in a very dark place. It's very eerie, very creepy. And so I'm like, Chisei, I think you need to freak out a little bit, okay? You should probably freak out a little bit. But I mean, Chisei has seen so much in her life, so I guess her freaking out wouldn't make much sense. But you get my point, okay? This episode was a very nice twist to the ancient Magus bride, especially when it comes to Ellis and Chisei's relationship. Normally, it's Ellis helping out Chisei, and Chisei being very dependent on Ellis to, save her or whatever. But that wasn't the case in this episode. In fact, it was a very different role reversal. It was a very welcome role reversal, because you actually saw Chisei being more like a mother figure, or like Ellis's position, while Ellis was in Chisei's position, being very dependent on her. And this shows how unhealthy these two characters' bonds really are. I mean, if there's one big thing that this series has really tried to show since it started, coming out, is that Chisei and Ellis, their bond, their dependence on each other is just not healthy. It's not something good at all. Or at the very least, how Chisei acted around Ellis and treats people and all that, it's not healthy. The way she depends on certain people, or depends on Ellis and all that. And this episode shows that they both have this exact same flaw. The more and more Chisei stays around Ellis and all that, the more and more he becomes more dependent on her, and it's vice versa. Just both back and forth. They both depend on each other. And so, if something goes wrong, then they just kind of like break down. They cease all function. And that's what happened. That was the big problem in this episode, the conflict. And I know many might not like this episode because of seeing how maybe Chisei had to save, Ellis and all that. But at the end of the day, we gotta remember that Ellis, when he first came about, it was implied that he was a child. It was implied that he was made from, like, a bunch of chimera parts. You even see in this, episode, when, Chisei's chasing after him in the snow, he looks like a chimera. You see all these different, like, weird body parts and stuff of creatures, which makes him look like one. And so, there's more obvious, symbolism or implying that he is, a chimera. And it's also been implied that at one point in time he probably was a human child, then mixed with a bunch of creatures, and then here he is now. So when you look at all of this, at the end of the day, I feel like, Ellis, he is like a child, and his little temper tantrum and how he acted in this episode was, I guess, normal for him, because, number one, he's starting to realize he has emotions, and he's coming to terms with these emotions, and being close to someone like Chisei, it's awakening these emotions he's never really had before, and jealousy was a big one in this episode. He's very jealous, because Stella came over to chill with Chisei, and it was a very chill beginning of the episode. Just, Stella and all that coming in, like, wanting to, cheer up Chisei, help out Chisei, just showing that, like, hey, I'm your friend and all that, I'll come over more often, you don't have to be by yourself, you can come visit me. It was a very sweet scene. It shows that Chisei is starting to gain a lot of family members, friends and stuff that she can call her own, and just, have fun in her life, have something to look forward to. It's a lot of progression for her character. However, here's the big thing. Ellis, he is someone that has lived a very lonely life as well. I mean, he may have had Silky with him, but majority of the time, he has lived a very lonely life. He doesn't really get to talk too much because, as we know, he was like a hermit. He was someone that shut himself off from the world. And Chisei is his first real interaction with someone in a very long time. And after growing closer to her, not really comprehending or understanding his own feelings, when, he noticed that Stella was coming in, it looked like Stella might be taking Chisei away, he got very jealous. And so that's why he ran off. And the emotion he had, it makes common sense. And so I can't really hate on Ellis for his interactions or how he acted in this episode, because it's how any normal person kind of would act. I mean, it was a very real emotion. So the man, he got very jealous, upset, and he wanted Chisei for himself, and he realizes that he can't have Chisei all to himself anymore because she is opening up and making friends. And that's the big point here, that Ellis didn't realize how much he was bonded or attached to Chisei or dependent on her until she started to open up and get with more people. And there you go, that is why he was upset. So Chisei coming in to save him, educate him a little bit, I like that. Like I said, the role reversal was a very welcome scene just to show that both of these characters are developing and changing each other, but at the same time, their relationship is very unhealthy. Now, I do want to point something out. In this episode, we see Ellis state he doesn't want Stella around. He even says that. He says he doesn't want her around. Now, let's back up, okay? Let's just back up for a second, think about what was done in the last episode. As we found out, words matter a lot to ancient beings. Ancient beings, depending on words, they will do certain things. Ash and I, the whole reason why he caused all that conflict in the last episode is because of what the brother and sister said to each other. Just a few little meaningless words that was just there at the spur of a moment just because they were angry at each other. It caused a lot of conflict. And so, since words matter so much in this universe and all that, they can cause creatures to do certain heinous things, I feel like what Ellis said in this episode, he wants Stella to go away, probably has a role to play in the upcoming episodes. For instance, we saw Ash and I around Stella again in this episode. And we also saw the little psycho boy or whatever that was making chimeras also next to Stella, causing some, mischief. So, I feel like what Ellis said might have caused whatever's about to happen to Stella because of the words he said. I'm wanting to point that out because that was a big part of last episode, and I feel like that's going to be something very important for future arcs of the Ancient Magus Bride. Apparently, also, the dragons were getting stolen by the Psycho Kid a couple episodes back, so, yeah. That's a very interesting thing. So, Lyndall is having his own issues, dragons were stolen, and most likely, they're probably going to be used as a form of chimera. That's the easiest assumption I can come to. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the episode. I mean, it was a very sweet episode. It was very interesting to see just the change in it, and also see some little comedy segments, especially when, Chisei had to wake up. Like Ainsworth, Ellis and all that had to wake him up by, injecting medicine in him, and she punched him in the tonsils. I was just like, yo, that's some savage stuff. But, besides the last, though, it was a very good episode, just to show that Chisei has changed quite a bit. She's more open, and trying to help out people around her. So with that, I'm gonna end this video here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. With that, please be safe. Chibi out.